Good morning to you all. You're watching World News and I'm your host, Klaudia Czerwińska. Top diplomats and foreign ministers are gathering in Malta ahead of a major summit today as the region faces growing uncertainty. Our chief political correspondent, Aaron Damon, is on the ground. Good morning, Aaron. So what can you tell us about the meeting which is going to take place today, and is Sergei Lavrov going to attend?
Good morning. Yes, the 31st OSCE Ministerial Council conference about to get underway here in Malta. Delegations from all 57 member states are here, and there is one name that is making the rounds: Lavrov, Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister. Now, he's expected to appear here for his first visit to the EU since 2021 and since Russia launched that full-scale invasion of Ukraine. It's clear this event will not be all smiles and handshakes. Now, I've spoken to a number of foreign ministers this morning. Here's what they told me about Lavrov's appearance.
Today, Russia is honoring neither the sanctity of borders in Europe nor human rights. It was given a chance to become more European, to mend and civilize its ways. But unfortunately, its Turanian political culture got the upper hand. Mr. Lavrov is coming here to lie about Russian invasion and what Russia is doing in Ukraine, and I'm not going to listen to those lies. Russia corrupts every organization she joins. We need Russia to get out of Ukraine, and only then will this organization make sense.
Russia is isolated, yeah.
Do you have any message to Mr. Lavrov?
Get out of Ukraine. That's my message. Thank you.
How will you react when he comes here? Some countries decided to leave the summit. The meeting.
I will not leave the summit, but I'm not ready to listen to his poisoned lies.
And there was a high praise for the Maltese chairmanship that has prioritized support Ukraine, doing really important work on documenting evidence and proof of Russia's war crimes in Ukraine. And also the support program for Ukraine is providing assistance both in existential issues such as demining, but also for violence against women and rehabilitation and many other things. So that's an important thing.
So Poland, the Czech Republic, Latvia, all confirming either on the record or through our sources that they will leave the room once Mr. Lavrov starts speaking. Other countries like the Netherlands, they say they will await their decision and basically make a decision over the coming days. As you can see behind me, Annalena Baerbock, the German foreign minister, is right here. And these last few foreign ministers are arriving at this 48 hours of power diplomacy. We've already seen US Secretary of State Antony Blinken make his way through, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andrii Yermak. These are big names, big brass, and they are here to try and make a difference.
Thank you so much. That was Aaron Damon coming to us from Attard, Malta. Russia's foreign ministry spokesperson, Maria Zakharova, has had her visa revoked, barring her from entering Malta. She was meant to accompany Russia's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe meeting. The reason behind her visa being revoked, according to Maltese Foreign Affairs Ministry, is because Zakharova, unlike her boss Lavrov, is under a travel ban. They also said that 3 countries raised objections to issuing a visa for Maria Zakharova. Russia's Foreign Ministry issued a statement in retaliation saying, quote, cancelling right before the event a visa that had been earlier issued by the Maltese chairpersonship to Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova, allegedly due to circumstances beyond their control, was unprecedented. The chief of staff for the president of Ukraine, Andrii Yermak, has met with representatives of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's team responsible for Ukraine policy. Our correspondent, Oz Katerji, is in Kyiv and has more information. So, good morning, Oz. What do we know about the meeting so far?
So, a source familiar with the meeting has briefed Reuters that a delegation, Ukrainian delegation led by Andrii Yermak, that's Zelensky's most senior advisor, met with representatives of the Donald Trump transition team, those that will be dealing with Ukraine going forward. Those are his national security advisor, Mike Waltz, and the Special Envoy for Ukraine and Russia, Keith Kellogg, retired General Keith Kellogg. So this is going to be a really important point of diplomacy going forward for Ukraine to make this outreach to Trump incoming team. However, we don't have any further details on what was discussed or if there was any outcomes of this meeting. And the Ukrainians haven't elaborated further, and the Trump transition team has not confirmed the meeting either. So a lot to be discussed, but this is all happening behind closed doors now, and we're awaiting further details. Now, elsewhere in Ukraine, there were 2 people have been killed and 6 people have been injured in Russian attacks across the country, which are continuing daily to target residential areas and the energy infrastructure of Ukraine.
Thank you so much, Oz. Please keep us updated on the latest developments of the meeting. Oz Karaji coming to us from Kyiv. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk will host the President of the European Parliament, Roberta Metsola, on Thursday to discuss Warsaw's upcoming presidency of the Council of the European Union. Metsola visited the Polish capital earlier this year. The European Parliament President will be accompanied by leaders of the European Parliament political groups. She will also meet with Polish government figures and members of the Parliament. Poland takes over the rotating 6-month presidency of the Council of the European Union on January the 1st. The European Union is soon to close the free trade agreement with Mercosur. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen will reportedly be traveling to Uruguay to finalize the agreement with the Latin American economic bloc. Despite opposition from a group of countries, including France and Poland, the Financial Times reports the Mercosur trade deal has enough support to pass. According to the agreement, many tariffs on goods coming from Latin American countries will be slashed, opening up the market for agricultural products. Especially livestock farmers have been critical of the deal, claiming it will undercut them on price. Latin American countries are some of the largest beef producers in the world. The trade deal between the EU and Latin American countries has been in the making for 25 years. Moving on to Georgia now, as the situation in the country is becoming increasingly unstable. At the heart of the crisis is the Georgian government's decision to pause its EU accession talks until the end of 2028. Hence, the protests in the country have been going on since Thursday of last week and are becoming more and more violent. Don Arleth reports from Tbilisi.
Day 7 of the protests here in Tbilisi continue. Just a few days ago, there were tens of thousands of people on the streets. Last night, according to an official estimate, over 200,000 people came to the capital of Georgia to protest against this government. Of course, they want new elections, they want free and fair elections, they want a path to the European Union, and they're out here in huge numbers peacefully showing the government that that is their demand. Now, if you look behind me, just over here, you see the police lining up. Soon they will crack down on this protest, as they have done night after night. We know that now over 300 people have been put in jail and detained. The Coalition for Change, which is one of the opposition parties here in Georgia, well, one of their 4 leaders was arrested today by police without a warrant, without any justification for doing so. And when the police detained this leader, they knocked him out, actually unconscious, and took him away. The protests are likely to continue here in Georgia until their demands are met. Of course, the ruling Georgian Dream not wanting to do so, saying that they will squelch these protests until they're successful in doing so. Reporting from Tbilisi, Don Arleth, TVP World.
On Wednesday, Georgian opposition politician Nika Gwaramia, who is the leader of the Coalition for Change party, was beaten up and taken into custody by the country's police. This is yet another instance of government forces targeting the opposition in Georgia. TVP World spoke with Miriam Mikashvili, who is on the ground. Here is what she had to say.
From the early morning, the regime has been raiding different opposition offices. One of them was our Coalition for Change offices. So there are several parties in the coalition, and they raided offices of several of the member parties. And Guaramia simply demanded that he should enter the place while it is being searched, because he's a lawyer and he wanted to be present there, and he had the full right to be there. But when he was insisting in his tone, the policeman, he did not like his tone, knocked him out, and then a bunch of these thugs, policemen, they dragged him unconscious. They carried his unconscious body to the detention car. And Guaramia is first one of the leaders to be detained, but also today there have been other detentions.
Moving to France now, Michel Barnier is set to become the shortest-serving French Prime Minister in modern history. He's expected to resign from his post on Friday after his government lost a vote of confidence. A parliamentary majority of far-left and far-right voted out Barnier's government after he attempted to use a constitutional article to pass austerity measures without parliamentary approval. France is facing a serious budget deficit. Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally earlier rejected a proposed compromise. Barnier has only held the job since early September. He led a center-right minority government since the snap elections in June. The resignation of the cabinet will do little to ease the political crisis in France. According to France's constitution, no new parliamentary elections can be held before July of 2025. French President Emmanuel Macron is also facing calls to resign, with over 2 years left on his term. On Wednesday, French lawmakers voted to oust the government of Prime Minister Michel Barnier after just 3 months in office. The development marks the first time in 60 years the National Assembly has approved a no-confidence motion against the government.
To get out of the impasse in which the president has placed the country, there's only one solution. We ask Emmanuel Macron to leave.
Today, he has other options, 3 of which are provided for in the Constitution. He can appoint a new Prime Minister. He can dissolve the National Assembly, which he will only be able to do next June or July. And thirdly, of course, as you mentioned, he can question his own future and resign. But we are not, under any circumstances, calling for the resignation of the President of the Republic. What's important is to build something else, and for us, building something else means first and foremost relying on universal suffrage, on the results of the legislative elections that put the new Popular Front in the lead.
I have no vertigo, and I do not consider this to be a victory. I consider that we had a choice to make, and the choice we made was to protect the French people. Mr. Barnier had made 3 promises. He had promised fiscal justice. He presented a budget of 40 billion in additional taxes. He had promised to control public accounts. The deficit worsened. He had promised to co-construct the budget with the opposition, and he did not listen when he constructed his budget.
Romania's pro-EU parties have agreed to form a coalition to keep the country on a pro-EU and pro-NATO path. This news comes ahead of the second round of the presidential election, with right-wing populist candidate Călin Georgescu poised to win the vote. The coalition will be made up of the Social Democratic Party, National Liberal Party, Save Romania Union, Hungarian Democratic Union of Romania, and the National Minorities Group. The move will give the coalition a solid majority in the next parliament. Representatives of the coalition parties also urged voters to cast their ballots for a president that will keep Romania on a pro-European path.
Și minorități.
South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has accepted the resignation of his defense minister. He's the first politician to leave his post since the short-lived martial law earlier this week. South Korea's defense minister, Kim Yong-yoon, was pressed to resign for allegedly advising the president to declare martial law. Reports say he also suggested bringing in the military in an effort to stop parliament blocking the measure. President Yoon surprised allies at home and abroad by declaring martial law on Tuesday. It was lifted a couple of hours later after Parliament voted against the president. Yoon will now face a vote for his impeachment on Friday. His own party has, however, indicated it would oppose his removal from office.
알려준 사실 없습니다.
전혀 없고 언론 보도를 보고 알았어요?
예.
그래서 어떻게 했어요?
Stay tuned for the premiere of Aaron Damon's interview in Malta with Weronika Stromiszkova, Chief Director of the Multilateral and Security Section, at 10:15 a.m. And so this would be all the latest news for now, ladies and gentlemen, but please do stay tuned here on TVP World as we will be back with more news and features in just a moment.